Hi, we are group number 4.
Welcome to our vlog.
I'm Mara Soriano and
My name is John Kenneth Caspillan.
I am Eliza.
I'm Marian.
And I am Carlin Flores. And
And I'm Lara, and today we're going to talk about operant conditioning by B.F. Skinner. But before that, sino nga ba si B.F. Skinner?
So, hi guys! Mm, First, are you familiar with B.F. Skinner? Baka ito. Skinner ka nga sa ML. Wala ka naman BF. Ay, joke lang. So, eto na. Well, he is Frederick Skinner. He was an psychologist, a behaviorist, author, inventor, and social philosopher. Di ba? Dam yung work. Sana all. And Skinner was the Edgar Peirce Professor of Psychology at Harvard University from 1958 until his retirement in 1974. He was born and raised in the small town of Susquehanna, Pennsylvania. B.F. Skinner is famous for his pioneering research in the field of learning and behavior. He processed the theory to study complex human behavior by studying the voluntary responses shown by an organism when it is placed in a certain environment. He named these behaviors of responses as operant. Well, during his time at Harvard, Skinner became interested in studying human behavior. In scientific way, syempre. Then, dito na niya na-develop yung nare-refer niya as an operant conditioning apparatus, which later became known as a Skinner box. Yes, a Skinner box. Skinner studied operant conditioning by conducting experiments using animals, which he placed in a Skinner box. Gaya nga na nabanggit kanina. Ito yung mga hayop o animal na can be rewarded and punished for engaging in certain behavior, such as yung lever pressing para sa mga daga, and key pecking para sa mga kalapati or pigeons, diba? Alam niyo yun. Tapos, ito yung mga chamber. Meron siyang bar in order to receive food. Itong bar na to, ito yung pipindutin ng mga hayop para makareceive sila ng food, 'di ba? O kahit anong gusto nila. 'Di ba? Sana all kapag may gusto kang makuha, may pipindutin ka lang, makukuha mo na siya. Ay, gusto ko nga siyang kunin. Ayaw ka naman niyang piliin. So, ayun lang guys.
So that was B.F. Skinner. Now, let us talk about his proposed idea called operant conditioning. Ano nga ba to? Well, operant conditioning is a method of learning that employs rewards and punishments for behavior. Through operant conditioning, an association is made between a behavior and a consequence for that behavior. A brief history of operant conditioning. It was first described by behaviorist B.F. Skinner. As a behaviorist, Skinner believed that it was not really necessary to look at internal thoughts and motivations in order to explain behavior. Instead, he suggested we should only look at the external observable causes of human behavior. Through the first part of 20th century, behaviorism became a major force within psychology. The ideas of John B. Watson dominated this school of thought early on. Watson focused on the principles of classical conditioning, once famously suggesting that he could take any person regardless of their background and train them to be anything he chose. Early behaviorists focused their interest on associative learning. Skinner was more interested in how the consequences of people's actions influence their behavior. Operant conditioning relies on a fairly simple premise. Actions that are followed by reinforcement will be strengthened and more likely to occur again in the future. If you tell a funny story in class and everybody laughs, you'll probably be more likely to tell that story again in the future. So that's operant conditioning. We've associated it with classical conditioning. Ano nga ba pagkakaiba nitong dalawa? Let's ask John Kenneth.
Hello everyone, today we'll be discussing the key differences between classical and operant conditioning. First, classical conditioning is founded by a Russian physiologist named Ivan Pavlov, while operant conditioning is founded by American psychologist B.F. Skinner. Second, classical conditioning is involuntary, while operant conditioning is voluntary. Classical conditioning is involuntary because we often don't realize that it is happening to us, while in operant conditioning, we have the choice to do something more or less depending on the consequences. Third, in classical conditioning, it relies on association. For example, a dog that associates a bell for food. While in operant conditioning, it relies on consequences. Do we get rewarded or punished for what we did for our behavior? Fourth, classical conditioning has no incentives, while the operant conditioning, the learner is rewarded with incentives. Fifth, in classical conditioning, we see the terms unconditioned stimulus, unconditioned response, conditioned stimulus, and conditioned response. While in operant conditioning, we will often see the terms reinforcement and punishment. And the last one, in classical conditioning, a new behavior is created as a result of this conditioning. While operant conditioning, the result is behavioral changes. And that is the key differences between the classical and operant conditioning. Thank you for watching.
Hi guys, today I'm going to explain to you what is a Skinner box and an operant conditioning chamber. So it is a small environment designed to contain an animal object. Usually, it is a rat. They are generally structured to block external light and sound in order to prevent distract stimuli from entering with the experiment. So ang ginagawa nila, inaalis po nila yung light, yung sound na pwedeng makapek dun sa experiment na yon. So the box ensures behavior condition appropriately and reward and time correctly. Nalaman na natin kung ano ang Skinner box. Ngayon naman, sasabihin ko sa inyo kung anong purpose ng Skinner box. So the purpose of Skinner box is to analyze animal behavior, detecting when an animal has performed desired behavior, then administering a reward. Thus, determining how long it takes to an animal to learn to perform the behavior. If the goal of the box is to teach the rat to press the lever, for example, pressing the lever might cause a food to fall out of a tube. The rat will only push the lever accidentally at first. So, kunyari may isang rat, no? Tapos merong lever. So, kung lever na yun, napindot niya, meron yung food na lalabas. Or, kung ano naman, yun yung positive reinforcement. Yung pangalawa naman, yung negative reinforcement. Ito yung, kunyari, napindot niya yung lever, may stop yung punishment. May stop yung, kunyari, mag-electrify yung rat, ganun. So, yun ang dalawang example ng Skinner box. Then the rat will begin to perform the behavior independently. When used to study classical conditioning, the chamber may be structured so automatically animal behavior, such as scratching paired with untraditional stimuli, such as flashing of light. When the animal scratches, the light will flash and the animal will be given a reward. Several trials, the animal will likely to associate conditioned stimulus with the reward. The Skinner box has been used in pharmaceutical research to observe the effect of the drug of animal behavior.
So hi, will discuss today what is negative and positive reinforcement. So, people can learn from the different ways, and it is through the process known as operant conditioning. So, meron tayong two types of operant conditioning. Yes, please, paki-explain. Ang positive reinforcement ay ang paggamit ng papuri and reward. Positive reinforcement means something is added. Okay? Added. Added na. Added to increase a desirable behavior. For example, Mommy, look! I got a perfect score! Wow, very good! Medyo mag-jollypot ka sa akin mamaya. Ganyan mo lang ha. Dapat ganito lagi, okay? Keep it high. So, ang negative reinforcement is a method that can be used to help teach specific behavior. Okay, so with negative reinforcement, something uncomfortable or otherwise unpleasant is taken away in response to a stimulus. So, over time, the target behavior should increase with the expectation that the unpleasant thing will be taken away. Gets mo? Hindi. Siyempre, bibigyan kita example. Okay. Ano to? Bakit zero nang nakuha mo? Cellphone, tabi ka ng tablet! Papapaya mo na yung pag-aaral mo. Wala kang jollibot sa akin. Hindi kita bibilan ng jollibot. 1 week kang walang cellphone. Eh, paano pag yung bata gustong-gusto maparusahan, o di kaya wala siyang paki kung mapaparusahan siya, anong gagawin mo? Well, dyan na papasok ang positive reinforcement. Okay? Kunyari lang ha, ayaw niya talaga mag-aral. So, ang gagawin natin, bibigyan ng reward. Suhulan. Hindi naman siya suhol. Parang, pampagana syempre. Pag may reward ka, syempre, gaganahan ka, di ba? So, ganun ang positive reinforcement. And that's all. Sana may naintindihan kayo sa tinuro ko, okay? Intindihin nyo kung hindi. Wala lang. Sige, bye!
Punishment is a concept used in operant conditioning psychology to describe any change that occurs after a behavior that diminishes the likelihood of the action of occurring again. There are two types of punishment, the positive punishment and negative punishment. Positive punishment is also known as punishment by application. Positive punishment works by inflicting an aversive consequence once an unpleasant action is shown, decreasing the possibility of the behavior to occur again. On the other hand, negative punishment is also known as punishment by removal. Negative punishment happens when a certain reinforcing stimulus is removed after a particular undesired behavior is exhibited, resulting in the behavior occurring less frequently in the future. For you to better understand it, I will demonstrate some examples of positive and negative punishment. A child wears her favorite hat at dinner. Her parents scold her for wearing it and make her remove the hat contrary to the proper dining etiquette. The two children get into a fight over who gets to play with the new toy. The mother simply takes the toy away from both children, effectively punishing them for their misbehavior. Always keep in mind that the goal of punishment is to reduce the undesirable behavior. According to a study, positive punishment are more powerful than negative punishment in terms of improving behavior. As a result, it is always a good idea to try these interventions prior to negative consequences.